Springtime is my favorite time of the year to go through and freshen up my home for not only decor looks, but for organization as well. But as you're looking at all of these pictures, how do you know what's a good idea and what's not? Today I'm going to go through some of these inspiration pictures and tell you what I really think of them. Let's get started. Sometimes I can't help myself, even though I'm always saying don't go to Pinterest for inspiration because sometimes it's misleading. I also find that sometimes as I'm looking through these pictures, it just gives me that spark of inspiration to get me motivated enough to work on a project. But sometimes as I'm looking at these pictures, I start yelling, going, that's not a good idea, don't do that. So some of these pictures we're going to look at today I think are wonderful, exciting, fantastic ideas, and some of them I'm going to be a little bit more realistic and harsh. And if it's your aesthetic and you love it, it doesn't matter what I think or say. But if you're on the fence looking at idea, wondering how practical it is, I'm going to tell you exactly what I like or don't like about each one. Let's start with a hall closet. Now, a lot of us have closets like this, and if you're renting or you just don't want to spend a lot of time and money making modifications, here is a great way to add storage without doing anything permanent. By adding this shoe hanger to the door, you have all of this small space storage. By adding the hanging storage on the rod, you're able to add shoes, toilet paper, paper towels, other things that aren't too heavy, which leaves all of this open space on the side for those strange things that are always difficult to store. I know I don't have any place in my home to store an ironing board, a vacuum, the shampooer, so I end up leaving them out in the open in a hallway because I don't have any place to store them. So if you have an open closet like this, and it might be tempting to add shelves to it, do keep in mind you'll need to have a place for those taller items like vacuums, shampooers, ironing boards that you may not have any other place for. So using hanging storage like this really allows you to have vertical storage as well as having a place for all of those small things in the shoe organizers. The only thing I would change is along that top shelf, I wouldn't have the games stacked like that because when you pull one out, it's hard to get access to. I would get some of those Dollar Tree rubber band headbands, put them around the box, and then stand them up like books. That way the boxes stay closed, but you can easily pull one out and, more importantly, easily put them away. Now, I can't tell if this is a bookshelf or built-ins, but I love this one. The thick fronts that are used with either a contact paper for chalk paint or if they actually painted it allows you to change the labels. I also love that they used containers to keep the smaller contained things into categories. They've utilized all of the space on these shelves by adjusting so that the similar sized items are together. This one gives me a huge happy face because I think it's really well done. By maximizing the space on all of those shelves so they're not wasting any open area, they have really maximized the storage in either this bookshelf or built-in. So kudos on this one. Now let's move into some bathroom storage. I like this. Maybe it came built this way where it was one full cohesive piece, but I'm guessing they took smaller pieces that they got from TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods, a place like that. And they either did a marble piece or they took some contact paper and just put it around. What this does is it unifies the look so you're not seeing all the busyness of the small individual things inside. You still have easy access and a way to break everything down so it's easy to find and put away, but from a distance it doesn't have that visual clutter that sometimes happens when we use small containers like this and have it out in the open. So I love this. It's a really easy way to dupe this with just a little bit of contact paper from the Dollar Tree or from Target, Walmart, wherever you get your contact paper. This next one is probably my favorite. If you have a kitchen space that has counters but not a lot of cabinets, what do you do to create extra storage? In this example, all they did was add one little shelf, which is so easy to do with some wooden cleats at each end. And if you're not sure how a cleat system works, check out this video for adding shelves. It's so much easier than you think. But by adding this shelf, it gave them all of this storage space. These could be upcycled containers or mason jars. And by adding some inexpensive cup hooks underneath, it looks like they used pegs, but cup hooks are so inexpensive. They have created a ton of storage in this space, and none of it is taking up counter space. I love this one, and by picking a couple of cohesive colors, it also looks so visually appealing. This one is a huge happy face for me. Okay. Let's talk about this next one. Kay over at The Organized Soprano did a video that I loved a few months ago on my unpopular home organizing opinions. And she addressed a trend right now that I do not understand with aesthetic refrigerators. If you would like to watch her video, it's a hoot. I love the way she talks about these things. I'll have that video in my description below. But organizing your refrigerator by color and putting in these set-sized containers does not make sense to me. If this is something you're doing, please explain the benefit, because I just don't get it. In my refrigerator, things are always changing, evolving. Sometimes I have a ton of leftovers. Sometimes I have a lot of produce. I don't get this idea of systematic, structured sizes and color coding things and taking things out of a container that just goes into another container. Explain, I don't understand. So I have an issue with this one, but if it's working for you, by all means continue. I am just not getting it. I think it's spending extra money on containers. And you guys also know, if you've watched me for a long time, how I feel about purchasing containers just for the sake of having a container. Oh, it gets me. So I cannot give this one a happy face. I have to give it a because I just don't get it. Now, turning myself into a total hypocrite, here are some containers I do like. I love the ideas of using jars previously used, especially if you can upcycle containers, use them. I'm hoping that the containers used here were candles that they cleaned out the jars of and repurposed. I'm truly hoping they didn't go out and buy all of these, but if you are constantly using grains and beans and small dry goods, why not use containers that you can transfer it in so that you can maximize the storage space, have those things out so you remember to use them, and leave your cabinets for those other things that maybe aren't as attractive to look at. I do love the idea of using containers to get these things out in the open and having those unsightly things put away. Now, once again, on an example like this on the screen, I do want all of that vertical space used. So in this example, I probably would have adjusted the shelves, and if not, added a secondary shelf so that extra space could have been used for cups or spices or smaller things. But if you don't need the space, this aesthetic is beautiful. Here is a great example by Marie Kondo of maximizing all of this space. And even though I think this one is a little busy looking, if you're in a tiny kitchen, what else can you do but have that cluttered look if you have a lot of things? So this is a way where you'll see that there's a wall that is at an angle. By adding shelves that graduate down, this is maximizing all of the space. They've got different containers and jars in here, which really allows you to store what you need by adding some fun little plants for herbs in here. And then the bottles that they have on the counter are on a tray. And I always love this idea if you need to have things like this out in the open, because when it's time to clean or when you need more counter space, all you need to do is pick up that single tray, move it out of the way easily, and you haven't had to move 100 little things. So if you have to have a lot of things on the counter, I always recommend putting it in a box, a basket, a tray, so that you can easily move it if you need to. This one was just really aesthetically pleasing to me, and once again, by using cup hooks, they're getting things off of the real estate of the shelves. They're still easy to get to, easy to put away, and they're not being stacked. Cups are so precarious if you're trying to stack them up. Cup hooks like this allow you to space them out, still have all of that real estate underneath, so I think this one is just super cute. I need to be careful with this because I don't like ever being negative, but when the Home Edit show came out, it was cute. One of the gals that used to work with me, who is also my cousin, we sat down and started watching the show excitedly, And pretty quickly we started yelling at the screen going, no! I think if you have the budget and the space, this aesthetic is amazing. But I think the majority of us don't have thousands of dollars to spend on these specialized containers. And I also don't always agree with organizing things by color. And this is a great example why. I'm guessing this is in their bathroom. How do you find what you need? I don't always remember what color my foundation or my face serum or my body lotion is. So I have things organized by how I use it, and then I have extras put aside. But by all means, if you have the space to do this, I'd like to know how often you're able to find things by color. Again, it looks so cool walking into a space and everything done by colors, but that means to me you have to search through each one of these little Lazy Susans to find what you need, because chances are you don't remember. I personally think it's more efficient to have things done by the type of product it is. Have sunscreens together, have body lotions put together, have body washes put together. Then when you need something, it's easier to find. But let me know if this has worked for you. If you have tried it, doing it by color, maybe you already know what color your body supplies are and you can find it easily, and I'm just being crabby. Now, I do like this look. This is just a simple countertop with some drawers. What I like is that by painting a chalk paint, you can have fun by changing out the labels on it. As your supplies change, as your hobbies change, it's super easy to wipe off the chalk and identify what's inside. With this pegboard behind, and did you notice they have the pegboard underneath as well? I love this because you can put larger hooks in to store things like extension cords or bungee cords, and then you can have your tools along the back. By having a similar color basket, you can throw in all of those miscellaneous items. This still looks aesthetically pleasing, but you've got everything handy and broken down by categories. I think this one is a huge win when it comes to inspiration, but keeping things functional and easy to replicate. This is another one by the Tidy Home Nashville, and I love this. I love this for a couple of reasons. I have talked about the benefits of these rolling storage shelves before. You could either have them on wheels or not. By having them on wheels means that they can roll this around and change the use of this space within seconds. If you'll also notice, they are using a folding table, which means they have 6 feet of surface space when they need it. But when they don't need that and they want to change the functionality of this space, they can fold it up, and by making sure the wheels are locked on their rolling shelving unit, they can tuck this table behind, and the whole room is now open to be used as a workout space, a guest room, a party room. I love the functionality of having dual purpose things, and they've also made it look beautiful by just adding one rug and some plants. It looks like a beautiful cohesive space, but within a matter of minutes, they can change the functionality of the room. So I really love this one. And since we were talking about these shelves, I've mentioned before, I have always loved these. I think they're wonderful because of the versatility. You can break them into 2, and if you don't know how to do that, I did a whole video on how to break one of these shelving units into 3 sections so you could create 9 feet of workspace or have 2 shelves side by side. I love these shelves so much, so check out that video if you've not seen that one before. But these are great to add extra storage. This one is being used a little bit more for decoration than actual storage, but let's face it, I have done this before in my own kitchen. I used it for decorative purposes just to make it look a little better, and then I had some storage functionality in it, and then I switched over to my coffee bar, and you know I love my coffee bar. It gives me functionality, but it also gives me a place to add those decorative pieces as I want to change things out. And speaking of decorative pieces, you know I love doing DIYs, but I've been watching Heidi Sonbul a lot more lately. I love her farmhouse DIY things, so if you've never checked her out before, definitely check out her channel. She does things so affordably, and she really does a fantastic job making high-end looking decor and keeping it super affordable. So which of these ideas was your favorite? Which would you absolutely do? Which one were you saying, Noreen, you're absolutely wrong. I totally disagree with you on that one. Tell me why, because sometimes if I look at something in a different way, I'll go, okay, that makes sense. But I don't know that you're going to be able to convince me on changing the aesthetic for the refrigerators. I just don't get that one. And I loved that Kay was talking about that, the organized soprano. As she was talking, I was going, yep, I totally agree. Yes, I totally agree with you. So let me know in the comments which one you completely agree with, which ones you don't agree with, and maybe some things that you're using that I haven't thought of. Thank you to my patrons who allow me to make these videos. Thank you to you for liking, watching, commenting, and subscribing. I will see you guys in just a few days with a new video. Bye.